What happens when one of the greatest player in the realms runs into the Umbral Tide? That is what we're going to be finding out today as the mighty, vicious Satsuma, the Slayer of Kings, goes toe-to-toe with the coolest of all waterproof wear, Cool Umbrella, and his Umbral Tide. It is Dino Boys versus Skaven. It is going to be an absolute scrap for the ages. I'm glad you are along for this ride. So let's slow this down, hop in, and check out the builds. So for the forces of the Dino Boys, as is often the case up against factions such as Skaven, we've gone very, very wide. We have skin cohorts dotted all the way along. No Saurus, which does hurt my Saurus soul, but still, skin cohorts will get the basic job done nonetheless. Down on this left-hand side, we also have some Cold One Riders mixed in with Feral Cold One, so a nice small cavalry contingent on the left. Looks like we have a similar situation on the right as well. Once again, double Feral Cold Ones and a unit of Cold One Riders. In a cheeky little Vanguard deployment, we do have some Chameleon Stalkers. It looks like we're going to be having that on both sides here. So 2 on the right and 2 over on the left. Not in too much of a Vanguard position that they could get caught out and kind of ambush before they get to the front line. But they certainly have a head start on their skink brethren, so should be able to whip around and just get in their position a little bit quicker. We do have a Feral Stegodon as well as a Feral Bastillodon. I've been quite harsh to Feral Bastillodons in the last couple of weeks, and I stick by that. So I have to wait and see if this Feral Bastillodon can indeed prove me wrong and prove to be a good asset here to the Dino Boys. We also have the Umbral Tide down here. So the Umbral Tide, the Fire Doggos as I like to call them, have been one of my favourite units for quite some time. They look absolutely fantastic and kind of a little crazy and scary at the same time. Everything you want in a doggo, so let's give them a little neck scratch, just to let them know they are the best. They come with Stalk, Perfect Vigor as well, which is certainly underrated. Decent amount of anti-large, and it can be a big pain in the butt to the Skaven, because a lot of the Skaven forces aren't heavily armoured, they're large creatures, and often they have a weakness to fire, like the Hellpit Abomination. The fact that they have Stalk does mean they can get nice and close to the enemy battle line. We have Voxyotl, the sneakiest of little skinks down here leading the charge, and a skink priest of beasts as well, coming in with that Manticore summon. Now, it looks like the Skaven are taking a little page out of the Dowie book, going for a bit of a dwarvish geometry here, with a nice defensive structure. We have Skaven slaves in the front. Their main job is just to chuck their bodies on the line to protect the Poison-Winged Globadiers, and hope that they can dish out the damage. We then have a load of clan rats guarding the rears and flanks of this formation, as well as some more in the central pocket. We do have some Rat Ogres as well, a lovely counter-punch unit. I love to see them kind of charge into cavalry and intercept them. Very risky when they get charged themselves, but if they the ones doing the charging, they'll do a decent amount of damage. We have some Night Runners in the middle, as well as the Teeth Breakers, regiment around Rattling Gunners who can do some disgusting value. We have a Grey Seer of Ruin as well here on his mighty Screaming Bell. Look at him, he's on top of the world right now. He is having such a good day, coming out into the action and the carnage. He has a Warpstone Scroll on him, Howling Warp Gale, as well as Warp Lightning, the dreaded 13th spell, Unholy Clamour, and Scorch. So he has plenty of everything today. We also have a couple of Chieftains. I haven't seen Chieftains in action in such a long time, so it's very cool to see them on their Bonebreaker mount. We have double Chieftain here. One, of course, is going to be coming with the Guardian, and they have the Power Grab and the Shield of Distraction at -5. Does that stack, I wonder? It looks like we don't have 2 of them, so probably not. We also have a Hellpit Abomination to make up the build, so a decent amount of large creatures in the force. We have to see how the Lizardmen do try to overcome this. So without further ado, let's hop in here and check out the battle. The cavalry is going to be very, very swiftly trying to get into position, probably looking for the tree line for a bit of protection, and just that constant worry in the back of your opponent's brain that, hey, we're here and we are going to jump you. It's also dragging away both Chieftains and the Rat Ogres over to this flank, which will allow the Chameleon Stalkers to advance relatively unimpeded on the far side. Now, Poison Globadiers have pushed up ahead of their build. You can see the poor skin cohorts going to be taking a considerable amount of damage on the way, and that is just off one volley there. Look at the HP go down, my god. And of course, the classic summon in the front should pen in this unit, and it's probably a dead unit of skin cohort, I'm afraid. Oh no, it is not a summon from the Skaven. It is a summon birthed into the realms of existence by the Lizardmen, and it is a early Manticore summon there. You see the Chameleon Stalkers have engaged. The Teeth Breakers are unleashing hell upon the Feral Cold Ones right now, doing a really nice bit of damage there and kind of finishing them off. We do have the nice cavalry overload coming in the back now. The Rat Ogres have indeed committed to the fight. Likewise have the Chieftain over on this left-hand side. The Feral Manticore is just currently vibing. It got hit by a Howling Warp Gale, so it's not actually doing anything. It is just standing there. We can see the Feral Cold Ones are trying to push forward. Unfortunately for them, a Overcast Storm Vermin summon has come in here by the Grey Seer, and the poor cavalry is really going to pay for this. Right-hand flank is not going well at all for the Dino Boys, and the Feral Stegodon is only going to find itself enthralled by the Storm Vermin themselves. And we'll tide push forward, but unfortunately we'll get driven back here by the Poisonwind Globadiers. Feral and Oxyotl moving forward to try to help their brothers out as the advance has stalled slightly here. You can see the cavalry is trying to get in the backs, but it is surrounded by spears as well as a Hell Pit Abomination, which is really quite nasty all round. It has regeneration, armor piercing. It will easily deal those non-anti-large cavalry there. Manticore Summon can finally move. It has shrugged off its magical chains and pops on top of the Poisonwind Globadiers, who are certainly getting absolutely crumped right now, not having a good day whatsoever. They got some good initial damage, but Skinks are well and truly into the back line. And look at this, nom nom nom. In the back, all these Night Runners getting chased down by little Skinkies, and the cavalry smacks home into the Clan Rats, looking to overwhelm them on the left here. Umbral Tide have come back, and they've taken quite a pounding at this point, but they still have 20 models, and they will really start to add up this damage onto the Hell Pit Abomination. With its weakness to fire, it is going down so quickly and allowing the Feral Bastardon and Feral Stegodon to 2v1 tag team it WWE style. They are slamming this Hell Pit Abomination right now as the Skinks try to hold back the Chieftains and Rat Ogres who would otherwise be used to counterpunch the Umbral Tide here. We also have Oxyotl just add in a little bit more kind of a fan in the flames, really, of the Umbral Tide, adding up that damage where possible, and the Hell Pit Abomination has rather wisely retreated backwards here. We're going to get a nice little Scorch go down, and that is destroying quite a few Skinkies there. Lovely play by the Grey Seer and Mr. Vicious Satsuma. His runners, though, are getting overrun themselves. Feral Cold Ones, as well as the Cold One Riders, doing a really nice job down there on the left-hand side, though the Hell Pit Abomination, Rat Ogres, and Chieftains are on hand to try to fend off the cavalry where possible. And the battle looks relatively even so far, though the Umbral Tide are doing absolutely devastating damage now to the Grey Seer, as well as to that Hell Pit Abomination. They've been a really good shift so far. We do have a few units who can come back. We have the Chameleon Stalkers as well as the Skink Priests, who can obviously float over and start dishing out the pain. Likewise, we have Chameleon Stalkers who have just kindly escorted the Poisonwind Globadiers off the battlefield. Don't want any of them kicking around in the later stages of the game. Now, the Umbral Tide will really need to kind of bring the pain to a lot of these larger threats, because the majority of the Lizardman build that remains doesn't have much anti-large properties. We are going to see a Manticore Summon once again rather loudly birthed into the world, being summoned from the corpse of the first Manticore. He arises with vengeance in mind. Umbral Tide lighting the way with the Grey Seer taking so much damage, and in comes the Feral Manticore diving in. It has been hit by a Warpstone Scroll, which will lower its speed, but it doesn't really matter. Like how quickly it just swooped down. That attack animation buffing up a little bit. We do get yet another Storm Vermin summon, though the dreaded 13th spell has been told. And yeah, they should be able to deal with the Feral Manticore rather easily, and hopefully fend off the Feral Bastardon and Feral Stegodon pressure, because that's a lot of pressure coming in. Umbral Tide are going to continue to launch shot after shot. They still have 8 rounds of ammunition left, and if they're not shut down, they're going to really bring the pain to all these large threats. So it looks like they are currently focusing on the Storm Vermin, which is definitely a mistake. That summon, you need to just wait out that summon realistically. In the back, the Hell Pit Abomination is carving its way through Chameleon Stalkers, which is rather nice for it. And now the Umbral Tide are in a rather swift retreat. We can see Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats hunting them down. They need to buy time, try and get some troops over here to support. We do have a few Skinkies who might be able to come back, and likewise, there's some more as well on the peripheries of the battlefield. But so are Night Runners. The Skaven look to be in a relatively decent position. Bounce Power completely disagrees with me. Maybe because of how low health the Grey Seer is. And the Lizardmen just need to try to play for time. A lovely Scorch does go in on the Skink cohorts and some really nice damage. And Oxyotl just needs to try to use up all his ammunition. To focus down the Grey Seer, you will eventually kill him, though there are some Clan Rats looking to intercept. Luckily, Cold One Riders are going to rampage into that situation to try to restore some protection. Skink cohorts as well are coming back here. And did the Umbral Tide... Where are the Umbral Tide? The Umbral Tide are okay, right? Where are my beautiful fire doggos? Oh, here they are. They're in the middle once again, allying themselves with Oxyotl and jumping the Night Runners. Now, Umbral Tide, you don't realistically want them in melee, though they are like not the worst melee combatants. They're still rather squishy, and you need as many models as possible to dish out that pain. Now, they need to fire on these Rat Ogres as quickly as possible, because the Rat Ogres will do some devastating work to them on the charge. And in come the Ogres. Oxyotl is trying to support. We also have a load of Skinks nearby looking to block the path and allow the Umbral Tide to escape. They are down currently to 14 models, which is still a decent amount, enough kind of like punch on them. And it looks like the Rat Ogres have indeed been distracted by all the Skinks darting around and just being a big pain in the butt. Now, the Skaven have formed a gigantic fist of just characters right now. We've got some beat up Rat Ogres, both the Chieftains, the Grey Seer, all coming into the main fight. with the Hell Pit Abomination, and that's going to be rather tricky to deal with for the forces of the Dino Boys. However, the Umbral Tide certainly do have the answers if they can shrug off this Rat Ogre pursuit, and it looks like they're just about going to be able to do that. Down to 11 models now, though, but the Rat Ogres are dealt with. We still have 8 volleys, so all those volleys, drop on the Grey Seer, drop on the Hell Pit Abomination, and the Lizardmen should be fine, but the balance power has gone once again more back towards the middle. We have 56 Chameleon Stalkers who can come back on that side, but apart from it, it is pretty much what you see is what you get, and what you get is a load of very scary single entities. It does look like the Feral Bastildon has been put in its place and driven away here by the double chieftains. Umbral Tide waiting, biding their time, getting ready to launch themselves at the Hell Pit Abomination. Now, we do have Night Runners nearby. They've been jumped by Chameleon Stalkers. We also have Feral Cold Ones swarming towards them. However, the Hell Pit Abomination says, no, not today, and counter punches. This fin is up to 49 kills, and it's certainly going to get many, many more before it is done today. Although, the Umbral Tide trying to make that maybe not so true. Warp Lightning is birthed into the world and slamming down, destroying beautiful little skinkies with every blow of the blade. Now, the Umbral Tide still are launching in shots to the Hell Pit, and you can see it's taken pretty considerable damage there. The Feral Stegodon has returned, proving once again to be more elite, more bad to the bones, more dedicated to the great plan than the Bastildon, and shall be fighting the Grey Seer in one-on-one combat. Should easily be able to destroy this contraption as well as the Lord, and the Hell Pit's getting really low right now. Oxyotl doing a fantastic job just poking him and trying to finish him down. The Feral Stegodon is starting to struggle, and it rampages and taking its attention away from the Grey Seer into the Hell Pit Abomination. This is really bad news for the Lizardmen, because it could mean that the Grey Seer will indeed survive, and before that last attack animation comes off, which would have possibly killed the Grey Seer, it would have gone down, but look who it is! The Bastildon comes in with the rear attack. I have betrayed him for too long, and he gets the kill! Once again, proving the commentator's curse. You insult the Bastildon, he insults your life's work, and comes in here, destroys the Grey Seer, goes toe-to-toe with the Hell Pit Abomination, but unfortunately, even the might of the Feral Bastildon will eventually falter. The Hell Pit Abomination does seem to have won that duel, although only just. The Chameleon Stalkers and Skink Cohorts will be returning. It does look like, unfortunately, the Umbral Tide were put in their place and run off the battlefield, which is a very sad day, but hey, they've done a lot of good work. Now, Oxyotl does a 360 no-scope, takes down the Hell Pit Abomination, which is certainly good news, and Bounce Power is very close to army losses, but there is 2 chieftains on the field, and if they can take down Oxyotl, there is nothing left on the field to kill them. Like, at all. There's some Skinks, but Skinks are going to have quite a rough time up against double chieftain. We do have some Skaven slaves, although they will be dissipating relatively soon. Rat Ogres trying to surround and beat back the Skink Priest. Now, if the Hell Pit Abomination had got its massive regeneration, the Too Horrible to Die, then this probably would have been a Skaven victory, but without that, it's going to come down to, can Oxyotl kill these chieftains quickly enough? And he's doing a fantastic job on it there, kind of being distracted, coming in, trying to kill the Skink Priest. Remember, though, Oxyotl does have that glorious Master Predator giving him the Unspottable, so he's really hard to spot unless you're directly on top of him. Chameleon Stalkers are moving in, just trying to fend off the Skaven slaves, or perhaps even just ignore them. They will disappear. They are a summon, so not the worst idea in the world. And the poor little Skink Priest is most likely going to be going down here. You can see the Rat Ogres, as well as the chieftains, just jumping in. Cold-Blooded has been popped, though, and the Skink Priest sometimes can get kind of pinballed around a little bit, meaning that it is going to take a little while to kill the Majestic Beastie. And Oxyotl this entire time will be doing those 360 no-scopes from over top of the corpse there of the Hell Pit Abomination, launching some shots in. And he does have scaling damage. The weaker the chieftains they get, the more important and impressive Oxyotl's range attacks will get. Only 5 volleys left, however. That is not a lot whatsoever. It looks like one shot does go into one of the Rat Ogres and actually takes down the beast. The Chameleon Stalkers are rallying around Oxyotl. He is a deity to them, almost a god, because of his prowess in battle. And it looks like them holding firm and rallying does allow Oxyotl with his last couple of shots to actually force back the chieftains who have kind of lost hope in this dire times for the Skaven peoples. A Pyrrhic victory, though, nonetheless. That was disgustingly close. Well played to Vicious Satsuma and Cool Umbrella. And this is what happens, you know, when Vicious Satsuma is one of the better players. One of the best players around, So very well played to call Umbrella for going toe-to-toe with him. But this is what happens when you bring the Umbral Tide, man. They're underrated, they're awesome, they're so cool. These like stalk hidden doggos waiting to belch fire at the enemy. And they got 1,300 damage value. But more importantly, fulfilled a role which the rest of this build couldn't really do. And that was that anti-large. Yes, you have your own large beasties to try and punch back. And Oxyotl over time will do damage to a Hell Pit Abomination. But you need something to burst it down, really. Otherwise, it could run absolute havoc through a build like this. But a nice juicy 20 stack there of Dino Boys. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I will hop in to the damage dealt and damage value of all of these units in just a second. But if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel as well for more Total War Warhammer content into the future. And feel free to comment down below what you thought of the battle. Like a ton of links in the description, Twitch, Patreon, Discord, all that good juicy stuff. And I think at this point, maybe I'm going to be dropping like 2 videos a day, so make sure to go check out the other video as well, which would have dropped today, or maybe we'll drop a little bit later, depending on when this one comes out. Very well played once again to call Umbrella and Vicious Satsuma. I'm not sure if this was a tournament game or just a chill game, but my god, it was pretty... kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. There was some amazing stuff. The Bastiladon coming back, getting a 515 damage value, so yeah, like half of the Feral Stegodon. I still don't rate Bastiladons, I'm sorry guys, I know I get a lot of hate for it, but yeah, they don't do much, But I mean, the rear attack to kill the Greys here, hey, what can I say? I've been proven wrong by this Bastiladon at least, that he knows exactly what he's doing. Oxyotl, 1.6k damage value, though he did use up basically 50 ammunition to get that value. Still did a good job though, just whittling down the Hell Pit Abomination, whittling down the Greys here, killing Rat Ogres per shot. It does certainly add up, 29 kills, not bad. King Priesty, nice use of the Manticore summon, though Vicious Satsuma did counteract them relatively effectively, pinning them in place and slowing them down where possible. Their second Manticore really did reap some havoc. 69 kills on these Skinkies, wait, 59, 42, 82, and 35. Damage value, very low though. I mean, they're killing clan rats, Skaven slaves, low hundreds for them, damage value-wise. Chameleon Stalkers, 72 kills, 111, 62, and 95. Pretty good numbers, but how did the value fare? 488, 378, 312, and 787. Okay, so the last one kind of redeeming them a little bit. But those earlier damage values, not that great, unfortunately. But they did a pivotal job, killed the chaff, so you can then surround and kill the large entities in the latter stages of the game. Feral Cold ones did get 250, 100, 200, and 340 damage value. Again, not the most impressive kills, but 57 kills isn't too shabby. Just hounded and harassed the enemy where possible. Common Riders, 968 and 766 damage value, between them getting just shy of 150 kills overall. Bastiladon, we've kind of already gone over him, a 515, a respectable 515 damage value. Stegodon though, 1016. Umbral Tide, 1.3k damage value, not bad at all. As for Mr. Vicious Satsuma, the Grey Seal of Ruin got 148 kills, 1,153 damage value. Not bad for a Caster Lord. The Double Chieftain's an interesting choice now. 640 and 720 damage value probably doesn't reflect truly the value they could have gotten, but unfortunately their army crumbled around them, and they still have decent HP for the late game, and if they could hold, they could pretty much tank the majority of what was left for the Dino Boys, but unfortunately that Skaven leadership nibbling in their backs of their brain, telling them to run away, kind of overcame them and they fled. But still not too bad damage value all round, 45 and 49 kills. I quite like this as a little duo. Skaven slaves did not do too much, of course, and neither did the clan rats. Very low hundreds. Damage value wise, the outstanding one was 234, but their main job, and 275 actually for the spear version, but their main job is just to hold back the enemy, right? As for the Night Runners, 420 and 170 damage value, just being overwhelmed by the sheer weight of numbers of the Lizardmen force. Poison Globadiers, though they were shut down very early on, still got 682 damage value. One of the best and cost-effective units in the game for me is the Poison Globadiers. They almost always pay for themselves, though they do also require a bit of friendly fire. So you've got to take into consideration that you have to also spend money to get something to protect them. That's also going to die because of them. Teeth Breakers kind of just got jumped, which is a bit sad because they're such a cool unit. I would have loved to have seen have a bit of a better day, but 270 value on them. Rat Ogres, 1.2k and 1.2k again damage value. Lovely play with them. 112 and 81 kills, good stuff. 1.1k on the Hell Pit Abomination, not quite fulfilling its potential, but still nonetheless getting 61 kills and absorbing a bucket ton of damage from some of the harder hitting units of the Lizardmen. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.